Level 1. The Lookout. Medellín, Colombia, the early 1980s. You are 15 years old, and a man from Pablo Escobar's organization offers you the easiest job in the barrio, standing on a corner doing nothing. This video is for educational purposes only. It explains how real investigations work and the consequences of crime, not how to commit it. The job is simple. When a police car turns onto your street, you whistle twice, loud enough to carry up the hill. For that, the Medellín cartel pays you cash every single Friday. Your first salary, 50 euros per week. The pay is the equivalent of 50 euros a week in a neighborhood where your mother earns less than that from a full month of laundry work. Nobody in your family asks questions. You never see what your whistle protects. Somewhere behind you, in a house you are never allowed to enter, men repackage cocaine paste that came down from the mountains the night before. The gangs call kids like you campanas, the bells. There are hundreds of you spread across the comunas, an early warning system that costs the cartel less than one single police informant. What looks like a kid whistling is really a surveillance grid. To a passing patrol, you are a bored teenager sitting on a wall. To the organization, you are one node in a network that watches every entrance to the neighborhood in real time. Pablo Escobar himself started smaller than you did, hustling contraband cigarettes and stolen goods around Medellín before cocaine existed as an industry. The ladder you are standing on is the one he built. One Friday, the man who pays you asks your full name, your school, your mother's address. He says it warmly, like a compliment. Years later, you will understand it was an inventory. You tell yourself you can stop whenever you want to. Every level of this story begins with that exact sentence, and the whole empire is built on how wrong it is. Level 2. The Runner. 6 months of reliable whistling earns you a promotion. Now you carry things through the comuna, small taped packages and sealed envelopes, from one address to another. You never look inside anything. The rule is delivered once and never repeated. You do not open it, you do not lose it, and you do not talk about it. Silence is the entire job description. The new pay, 200 euros per week. The pay quadruples, and so does what you know. You now know faces, houses, schedules, routines. In this business, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is what makes you expensive to release. You memorize every route in the comuna, which stairways connect, which rooftops touch, which doors are never locked. You are becoming a living map of terrain the police only see from cars. You buy your mother a refrigerator. She does not ask questions either, and that silence, multiplied across thousands of households in Medellín, is quietly part of how the cartel survives every crackdown. One package tears open at the corner. Inside is not cocaine. It is cash, American dollars, more than a policeman earns in a year, and you tape it shut with shaking hands. You deliver it without skimming a single bill, and someone was watching the whole way to see whether you would. You passed a test you did not even know you were taking. A boy you once whistled alongside is found dead by the creek. He talked, people say, or he stole, or he simply guessed wrong. Nobody investigates anything. You keep delivering. Level 3, the kitchen. At 18, they drive you south for hours into the jungle, to a place the workers simply call the kitchen. It is your first look at the industrial heart of the cocaine trade. Under camouflage netting stand fuel drums, generators, drying tables, and dormitories for 100 workers. This is not a criminal hideout. It is a factory with armed men as quality control. Jungle Superlab output, 3,500 kilograms per month at peak. Complexes like Tranquilandia, the jungle superlab that Colombian police and the DEA raided in 1984, could turn out roughly 3.5 tons of finished cocaine every single month. Your job is pure manual labor, hauling fuel, stacking supplies, burying waste. You are told nothing about chemistry, and you learn nothing. Ignorance here is a safety feature, not an accident. Everyone here is paid better than any legal farm in the region pays, which is exactly the point. The cartel does not need loyalty when it can simply outbid the lawful economy. A kilo that costs about $1,500 to produce in this jungle sells wholesale in Miami for $50,000. That gap, multiplied by tons, is what everything else exists to protect. At night, a small plane lands on a dirt strip lit by barrels of burning fuel. It leaves heavy. You watch it climb north and wonder for the first time how far this reaches. When soldiers eventually burn a kitchen like this one, the organization rebuilds it somewhere else within weeks. You are learning the Empire's first law. Everything is replaceable, including every person in it. Level 4. The root. Because you can read, count, and keep your mouth shut, you are moved into transport. Your new office is the smuggling corridor between Colombia and the United States of America. You coordinate loads now instead of carrying them. Fishing boats through Panama, small planes island-hopping the Caribbean, refueling stops on private airstrips. Every route exists because someone was paid to look away. You learn about Norman's Cay, the Bahamian island that Carlos Leder turned into a private refueling base, where cartel planes landed like a scheduled airline within sight of American waters. Cocaine entering the U.S. 15 tons per day at the cartel's peak. At its height, the Medellín cartel moved an estimated 15 tons of cocaine into the United States every single day. You stop thinking in kilos. You start thinking in aircraft. A full load is lost to the U.S. Coast Guard off Florida. You brace for fury, and instead a man shrugs at you. Losses are budgeted, 10%, sometimes more, already priced in. Pilot pay, $500,000 per successful flight. The pilots flying these routes can earn up to $500,000 for a single flight. One American pilot on the payroll will later become a federal informant against the cartel. That is the detail nobody warns you about at this level. In this trade, your most trusted colleagues are also your future witnesses, and every handshake is a potential page of testimony. You are 22 years old, managing men twice your age. Somewhere in an office in Washington, a DEA analyst adds a new empty box to an organizational chart. It does not have your name yet. Level 5, the office. The next promotion moves you from moving cocaine to moving people. You join the office that manages the cartel's most important product, and it is not cocaine. It is permission. Your ledger lists police captains, customs officers, judges, mayors. Next to every name sits a monthly amount. The phrase for the offer is famous across all of Colombia. Plata o plomo, silver or lead. The bribery budget runs to millions every month, and it works because refusal is never a neutral act. Those who take the silver live very well. Those who refuse are shown the alternative. You tell yourself you only handle the silver side of the sentence, but every envelope you deliver carries the lead inside it as an unspoken second page, and every man who accepts understands that. A judge in Bogotá sends his envelope back unopened. Weeks later, you read about his funeral in the newspaper. You did not order it, you did not fire it, and you cannot pretend it surprised you. Meanwhile, Pablo Escobar builds football pitches and free housing for the poor of Medellín. Barrio Pablo Escobar, people name it. Thousands love him sincerely. You now understand exactly what that love is for. What looks like a generous local hero is really an insurance policy. Every roof he gives away buys a family who will hide a fugitive, misdirect a patrol, or stay silent under questioning. Charity at this level is counterintelligence wearing a smiling face. Level 6. The accountant. By your mid-20s, you are trusted with the Empire's true nightmare, and it is not making money. It is the physical, back-breaking, genuinely absurd problem of hiding it somewhere. Cash arrives faster than anyone can count it, in duffel bags, in oil drums, packed inside truck tires. You wear a suit now, and you spend your days drowning in paper money, spent on rubber bands. $2,500 per month. The cartel spends roughly $2,500 a month on rubber bands alone, just to strap the bricks of bills together. The accountant who admitted that figure was Pablo Escobar's own brother. You bury cash in Colombian farmland, seal it inside walls, stack it in anonymous warehouses. Some of it you will simply never find again. You are literally losing entire fortunes to geography. Written off every year. 10% of all stored cash. Around 10% of all the money is written off every year, chewed apart by rats or rotted by rain in storage. The richest criminals on earth cannot protect their profits from rodents. The cleaner money flows through front companies, cattle ranches, taxi fleets, apartment blocks in Miami. You sign paperwork for businesses you have never visited, owned by names that do not exist. You are wealthy beyond anything your childhood could imagine, and you cannot safely display any of it. You own everything and can explain nothing. The money is a second prison, arriving early. At a meeting, you finally see Hacienda Nápoles, Escobar's estate, with its private zoo, its hippos, its gate crowned with a smuggling plane. Excess this loud is not a lifestyle, it is a message. Level 7. The Lieutenant. Now you finally sit at the table. You are a lieutenant of the Medellín cartel in the late 1980s, and the organization has stopped fighting rivals. It is fighting the nation of Colombia itself. The trigger is one word: extradition. A treaty allows Colombia to ship traffickers to American courts, and the cartel's men declare they would rather have a tomb in Colombia than a cell in the United States. Justice Minister Rodrigo Lara Bonilla is assassinated in 1984. Presidential candidate Luis Carlos Galán is gunned down in 1989. The cartel is no longer avoiding the state, it is executing it. Bounty per policeman killed. Over 2,000 paid out by the cartel. Escobar puts a price on every police uniform in Medellín, and hundreds of officers die for it. Young men from barrios exactly like yours collect the bounties. The Lookout pipeline now feeds a war. In November 1989, Avianca Flight 203 explodes in the sky over Colombia. 107 people killed to target one man who was not even on board. You learn it from the news like everyone else. Weeks later, a truck bomb guts the DAS security headquarters in Bogotá. You tell yourself you are transport and money, not bombs. But the empire is one body, and you have been feeding it for years. The response assembles itself piece by piece. An elite Colombian police unit called the Search Block, DEA advisors from America, and eventually Los Pepes, a death squad hunting everyone close to Pablo, including people like you. Then it happens. Your name is spoken aloud in a Washington briefing room for the first time, and a DEA analyst finally writes it into that empty box on the chart. You have arrived, and you are targeted. Level 8. The Kingpin. The men above you die, flee, or surrender, and the ladder does what ladders do. You inherit the summit of a Medellín-style empire at the exact moment when standing at the top becomes fatal. You now command what Pablo Escobar commanded, and the numbers stop feeling like money at all. They feel like weather, a vast system with its own seasons that you supposedly control from a chair. Forbes billionaires list. 7 richest man in the world, 1989. In 1989, Forbes magazine ranked Pablo Escobar the 7th richest man on earth, worth an estimated $3 billion. A fugitive drug trafficker, printed on a list between legitimate industrialists and kings. Share of world cocaine, 80% supplied at the cartel's peak. At its peak, the Medellín cartel supplied an estimated 80% of all the cocaine on the planet. From the top, you can finally see the entire machine at once. It is enormous, and it is leaking. Escobar even bought legitimacy directly, winning a seat in Colombia's Congress in 1982 before being publicly expelled in disgrace. You understand the lesson perfectly. Money buys entry everywhere except permanence. You cannot speak on a telephone for more than a minute. American surveillance planes overhead carry equipment built to find one voice in a city. Every single call is a coin flip on your life. What looks like richest man alive is really can't use a phone. This is the summit that the 15-year-old Whistler was climbing toward all along. Unlimited money, and no restaurant you can sit in, no bed you can sleep in twice, no call over 60 seconds. In 1991, Escobar surrendered on his own terms into La Catedral, a mountaintop prison he built himself, complete with a football pitch and a waterfall. Even that arrangement collapsed. He escaped in July 1992. That escape is the moment this story stops being about rising. Every institution the empire humiliated now shares a single project, and from here the ladder only points one direction. There is only the hunt. Level 9, the fall. 16 months on the run. That is what the top of the ladder actually purchases, a countdown measured out in safe houses, and now you are the one living inside it. The search block raids relentlessly, night after night. Los Pepes burn your properties and kill your lawyers, your bankers, your cousins. The empire's chart is being erased from the bottom upward toward you. Days on the run. 499 from escape to the rooftop. From the La Catedral, escape to the end. 499 days. Each one shorter than the last. Each safe house closer to the city center. Because a hunted man runs toward what he loves. Your billions are useless now. You cannot spend, cannot travel, cannot call. You're reduced to handwritten notes carried by trusted couriers, the exact same job you did at 16, running in reverse. In Medellín, radio direction finding vans circle the neighborhoods in slow loops. Colombian technicians trained on American equipment listen for one voice. On December 2nd, 1993, that voice stays on the line too long. The end. Deck 2, 1993, one day after his 44th birthday. It ends one day after his 44th birthday. He is barefoot, heavier, hiding in an ordinary middle-class house with a single bodyguard left. The seventh richest man in history, down to 2 people. The search block breaches the front door. He runs for the rooftop, out across the orange tiles, the way a lookout once ran between corners. This time, every whistle in the city stays silent. Pablo Escobar dies on that rooftop from gunfire, and the photographs travel the world within hours. In Washington, the DEA agents who chased him for a decade pose beside the ending they promised. Trace every rung of the ladder you climb tonight, and the outcomes converge on the same 3 doors: prison, exile, or a grave. The accountant survived mainly by confessing everything in books and courtrooms. The lieutenants who lived did so inside American courtrooms, trading testimony for decades instead of life sentences. That is the best available ending on this ladder. A cell and your name in the transcripts, and the trade itself never even paused to mourn. The Cali cartel absorbed the roots within months, then fell in its turn. The ladder never once cared who was climbing it, because that was the fine print at level 1 all those years ago. The €50 were never a wage, they were an entrance fee, and no level ever listed an exit. That is every level of the Medellín machine, from a whistle worth €50 to a name said out loud in Washington. Drop the next role or crime you want broken down in the comments.